and stretch whenever you need to do so. Setting your starting position. So if I'm seated as usual, trying to sit as straight as possible, encouraging space between the rib cage and the pelvis so that your diaphragm can descend and ascend to allow you to create a nice relaxed diaphragmatic breath, a nice relaxed breath. If you're lying down, using the mat to support you. So the head is resting on the mat, a little pillow behind it if you needed to support it. The shoulders are relaxed, and the arms are down by the side, the legs bent or straight, whichever feels more comfortable. And then, same as usual, just focusing on the breath for a little bit. See if you can notice where you're breathing from. If you feel that the breath is up at the top of the chest, so when I breathe, I can feel that my chest is rising, I can feel that my neck, my chest muscles are tightening. See if you can encourage the neck, the front of the chest to soften and relax, and guide the breath down towards the belly. Feeling the rib cage and the belly expanding with the inhalation and relaxing with the exhalation. Not because you're trying to push the belly out, but because you're letting your diaphragm descend and then do that work. So see if I can calm the breath, and then with the breath, I calm the body down as well. And then once the breath feels a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, just running a little scan over the body. So if I'm seated, maybe just trying to compare the pressure between the right and the left seat bone. I'm trying to picture the position of your spine, the position of your head. Am I straight? Am I leaning to one side? Am I twisting? I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just trying to notice where everything is and how I feel at the moment. Is there any niggle anywhere? Is there any tightness, any tension? If you're lying down, think of the pressure at the back of the shoulders. Think of the position of your head compared to the shoulder. Is it centered? Is it slightly off to one side? Is it turned to the side? So just checking how we feel at the beginning of the class so that we've got a little bit of a comparison to how you feel at the end of the class. And then when you feel a little bit more settled, a little bit more relaxed, then we're going to start to focusing on the back. Starting from the neck and going down, I'm going to go for a little rotation. So I'm just going to start turning the head to look over one shoulder, bringing it back to the center, and then I'm going to turn it the other way, back to the center, and then to the other side. So I'm just going to start with a little movement, just to mobilize, just to see how I feel. And then progressively, I'm going to try and see if I can maybe turn a little bit more. So see if I can try and gradually reach my end range as far as there is no pain, especially there is no shooting pain or any tingling into the fingers, into the hands. So I'm not creating nerve compression. Comparing the right and the left side. As I turn to the right, it's easy. As I turn to the left, it feels a bit stiffer, or vice versa. I'm going to focus on the stiffer side. Three. Two. One. And then easing back to the center. Then I'm going to bring the rotation down into the thoracic spine. So this time, instead of just turning the head, I'm going to turn the rib cage with the head. So if I'm standing, I can use the arms to assist. I'm just going to swing the arms over to the right. I'm going to rotate to the right, come back to the center, and then swinging over to the left, rotating left. As if you were passing something to a person behind you. If I'm lying down, I'm still going to swing the arms. I'm just going to roll from the right shoulder over to the left, from the right over to the left side. So massaging across to the back of the shoulders and the back of the rib cage, trying to create a little bit more movement. If you're on your back, encouraging a bit more of a stretch at the back of the shoulders. So as you roll to the right, think of pulling your left arm as far as you can until I can feel a bit of a stretch behind that left shoulder. And then as I turn to the left, I'm going to pull my right arm to feel a bit of stretch behind the right shoulder. So from side to side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, releasing the back, and then I'm going to go down into the lower back. So if you're lying down, I'm going to shuffle the feet and the knees nice and close together, bending the knees. I'm going to let the arms open out to the side, relaxing the arms, and then keeping the legs together. I'm just going to ease the hips over to the right. So I'm going to rotate and turn my hips and my legs to the right, bringing them back to the center, and then I'm going to turn them to the left. Think of a little setsupuli coming from the side of the belly, crossing the belly, that is allowing you to maneuver the hips, maneuver the legs from side to side. The upper body stays relaxed, the shoulders and the head stay relaxed. If I'm seated, as I'm sitting on the seat bones, moving the hips is going to be a bit awkward, a bit hard. So I'm still going to work from the top down. I'm going to reach across with the right hand to the left leg, and then pushing the legs to the right, I'm going to turn to the left. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So creating just a little bit more leverage with the arms, still encouraging that rotation from side to side. Making sure that you're breathing, not holding the breath. Let's see if you can use your exhale to turn away. And then your inhale to come back to center. So I'm going to exhale, I'm going to rotate away. Inhale, come back to center. So trying to keep that nice, relaxed, calm, long breath. See if I can match the speed of the movement with the speed of the breath. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, adjusting the hips, adjusting the shoulders. So it's a little bit more movement into the spine. I'm going to stay with that lateral movement. I'm going to work on the hips. What I want is, so still trying to keep on a circular movement, so it's trying to warm up into the hip joint. If I don't need support, I'm just going to leave it as it is. If I know that the leg is a bit temperamental, I'm going to use either the band or the hand, whichever is easier. If I'm using the band or the strap, I'm going to put the strap around the back of the right leg. So I've got control of the leg with my arm. And then think of your thigh bone. What I want is for the thigh bone to start drawing little circles in front of me. So as if it was like a massive pencil, I'm just going to draw circles on the wall in front of me if I'm seated, on the ceiling above me if I'm lying down. And then I'm going to decide on the size of the circle. So I can go for a big circle if I can. I'm going to keep the circle small if I find that I can't. The leg feels, the hip feels quite stiff. But see if you can think of the movement in the hip joint. So I wanted the hip joint to relax and the thigh to move into the hip socket, the head of the thigh to move into the hip socket. So if I'm lying down, the leg will be lifted, and then I'll be drawing the circles. It doesn't matter if it's not a circle and it's an oval. I'm going to do the best I can. Noticing if the hip starts clicking, Can I try and slow down as the hip tends to, at the point when the hip tends to click? Can I try and play with the position of the leg? Can I get rid of that clicking noise? Making sure that the hips are staying stable, staying still. So if you're lying down, imagine a tennis ball balancing in the center of the belly. Can I hold the tennis ball there while my leg is moving? I'm going to reverse the circles. I'm going to go round the other way. For 10. 9. Again, finding a breath that works for you. 8. But still that nice, relaxed, calm breath. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And then I'm going to release, relaxing the leg, allowing the arms to have a little rest too if I've been guiding the leg using my arms. And then when you feel that you're ready to start on the other side again, picking up the left leg, placing the band behind that left thigh if you feel that you need that support. And then I'm just going to start with those circles. So imagine your leg to be a spoon and your pelvis to be a bowl. I'm just going to try and turn the spoon into the bowl. Finding the size of the movement that works for my hip. If I'm laying down, making sure that the pelvis is keeping stable, is keeping still, is not rocking all over the place. If I'm seated on the seat hinge, so stability should be good. So I'm just going to try and work at relaxing the hip. So can I create movement into the joint without forcing, without stiffening up? 2, 1, and then I'm going to reverse the circle going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing. Relaxing the legs, releasing the hip, so hopefully hip joint a little bit warmer. I'm going to try and see if I can now play with the shoulder joint, still staying with circular movement. So I'm going to go with both arms together. I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to raise the arms up to the front. And then as I breathe out, I'm going to circle the arms around the side and then back towards the hips. So I'm going to bring them up to the front and then circle around and out. Same as I did for the leg. I might start with a smaller movement and then progressively I'm going to see if I can make it bigger and bigger. But exactly the same as I did with the leg, making sure that there is no discomfort in the shoulder. So it's not grinding, it's not clicking. If it's clicking, I'm just going to slow down as I get close to the point where it clicks and then just play with the position of the hands, changing them slightly. See if I can find a better fit in between the top of the arm, the head of the humerus and the shoulder socket. Just to see if I can avoid that grinding, see if I can avoid that clicking. If I'm standing, if I'm sitting, obviously there will be more load on the shoulders, so making sure that you don't start feeling tension lifting into the neck. If I'm laying down, I'm just going to try and work that nice big range, making it as big as I can. 2, 1, reversing the circles, going the other way. Again, adjusting the size of the movement. As you might find that as you change the direction of the movement changes. So somehow it feels harder, or the shoulder starts clicking. So I'm just going to play with the size of the movement, play with the position of the arms to see if I can find a nice smooth circle on the right and a nice smooth circle on the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. From rotational movement, I'm going to move into lateral flexion. So I'm going to move sideways the same direction. So I'm just going to start off with the neck again, moving down the spine. So same as I did before, I'm just going to keep the shoulders down and away from the head, keep the shoulders relaxed. I'm going to start bringing my right ear down to my right shoulder. Then back to the center, left ear to the left shoulder. And then back to the center again. Same as I did for the rotation. I'm going to start small. And then progressively, if I feel that that's not uncomfortable, I'm just going to try and go for a bigger movement. As you go into lateral flexion, if the neck is restricted, if the neck is tight, the tendency is, instead of bringing the ear to the shoulder, is to turn your face, or to look at the shoulder. See if you can still look straight ahead. So if I'm seated, it's like if the back of my head was against the wall, I still want to keep the back of my head on the wall as I move the head from side to side. And then laying down, I've got the floor below me, so I'm going to keep the back of the head on the floor as I'm moving side to side. 4, 3, 2, 1. Returning the head back to the middle, relaxing the neck. And then I'm going to bring the movement down through the thoracic. If you're lying down, you might want to support the head. So I'm going to reach my hands to the back of the head. I'm going to lift the head slightly off the ground, not pulling it hard. I'm just resting it on the arms. And then I'm going to flex to the side. So imagine with your right elbow to be reaching towards your right foot. So I'm going to flex to the right. Then easing back to the center. And then I'm going to flex to the left. Back to center. And then to the right. If I'm seated, I don't need the head to be supported. So I can just relax the arms down by the side, cross them onto the chest, and then just flexing my way down one way, coming back to center, and then flexing down the other side. So imagine 2 sets of pulleys that come from the ribcage down to the hip on the right and on the left side. I'm just going to pull down with one, and then I'm going to try and lengthen the other. I'm going to pull down with one and then lengthen with the other. So it's trying to work a little bit into the obliques, into the side of the belly. Just filling the rib cage, coming down towards the hip, bringing it back to center, filling the rib cage, coming down towards the hips the other way, and then back to center. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back to the middle, and then staying with the lateral flexion. But this time what I want is the reverse. Instead of taking the rib to the hip, I want the hip to come up to the rib. So I'm going to go into a little hip hitch. So if I'm seated, I'm just going to try and hitch my right hip up towards the right side of the rib cage as if I was trying to pull my right seat bone off the chair, and then I'm just going to sit back on it. Then I'm going to pull up on the left, sit back on it, pull up on the right, sit back on it. If you're laying down, exactly the same. Feeling the right hip moving towards the right side of the rib cage, the left towards the left. So still working into the obliques, still working into the side of the belly. Feeling the belly tightening, pulling the pelvis, pulling the hip up towards the rib cage, then easing back, pulling the other side, and then easing back to the middle. So if I'm down on my back, I should be able to feel the pelvis just gently sliding side to side. It's still flat against the mat, but just easing, sliding from one over to the other side. Shoulders and upper body as relaxed as possible. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing back to the middle, straightening out the hips, relaxing into the belly. Just a little bit more activation into the obliques too. The same as we did for the rotation. I'm going to work with the legs first. I'm going to go sideways with the legs. First thing, I'm going to try and get into the side of the hip, side of the bum, and then we're going to work through the inner thigh. So if you're seated, only if you're seated, you're going to wrap your band around the legs. If you've got a strap, so if it's not elastic, I will keep it a little bit looser so there is a little bit of a give so I can move the leg. And then I can hold it, or I can just put a little bow in it so that I don't need to worry about my arms. And then once the band is set, I'm going to keep my left leg still. With my right leg, I'm going to try and pull out to the right as hard as I can. And then I'm just going to ease back to the center. So it's trying to get into the side of the hip. If you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto your side and setting up into clown. So I'm just going to use the arm or use a towel, cushion to support the head. I'm going to bend the knees and then keeping the heels of the feet together. I want my top leg to start lifting and then coming down. So I'm going to open and then I'm going to close. If you're on your side, see if you can focus on tensing the side of the hip, the side of the bum, making sure that your hips are not rolling backwards, so you're not taking the tension into the front of the hip. So I want the hips are to stay nice and still, as if my hips were against the wall, so they couldn't go anywhere. And just moving the leg into the hip socket, feeling the thigh turning out and lifting, and then I'm just going to control it back down. So trying to get into the glute med, trying to get into the side of the hip, into the side of the bum. 5, 4, same as usual. If I need a little guidance, I can always use my hand to guide the leg out, to guide the leg back. 3, 2, 1, and releasing. Relaxing the leg, releasing the hip. I'm going to try the same thing with the left side, with the other side if you've done the left now. So same starting position. If I'm seated, right leg stay still. With the left leg, I'm going to try and pull out as far as I can, and then I'm going to come back, guiding the leg with my hands if I need to. If you're lying down, you'll be rolling over onto the other side, and then do the same on the other leg. So the head is supported, the knees are bent, The heels of the feet are staying together, and then I want the other thigh to start turning and lifting at the same time, and then coming back. The hips are steady, just the leg is moving. 4, 5, having as many rests as you need. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. I'm doing the band from around the knees. And then if you're lying down, rolling over onto your back again. We're going to work the reverse. I want to work the inside of the leg. So I'm going to put either the ball or the pillow between the knees, keeping the knees bent. And then exactly the opposite as the clam shell. This time I want to squeeze in. So I'm going to keep the left leg still, and then with the right, I'm going to press into the ball as hard as I can. And then I'm going to let go. So see if you can be aware this time of the tension being on the inner thigh. So I can feel the tension coming from the groin up the inside of the leg as I squeeze into the ball, and then a nice ease the pressure. Same as before, using the hand to guide the leg. If the leg today is a little bit temperamental, doesn't want to go there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing. Relaxing the legs, giving the leg a little rub, a little tap. I'm going to do the same thing, but focusing on the left side. So right leg holds still. With the left leg, I'm going to squeeze into the ball as hard as I can, as if I was trying to pop it. And then I'm just going to ease the pressure. So same as if I've got a cushion or a towel rolled, I'm going to try and squeeze it as hard as possible before I release that tension. Notice as you're trying to squeeze, as trying to get the inner thigh going on that left side, notice if you feel any tension into the shoulders, into the neck, or see if you can let go of that tension. So making sure that I'm not bracing with my arms, I'm not shrugging the shoulders, I'm not grinding my teeth, I'm not clenching my jaw. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one, and releasing back. Same as on the other side, I'm going to give the leg a little bit of a tap, just a little bit of a rub, relaxing the leg, releasing the inner thigh, and then I'm just going to focus on the arms. I'm going to still work sideways onto the arms, Same as the similar work that I did for the legs. I want to try and activate into the back of the shoulder. So that lats, the big muscle that attaches to the back of the arm, runs behind the shoulder blades down towards the middle of the back. So I want those muscles to work. So I'm going to place the ball this time, or the pillow, between the side of the rib cage and the arm. And then I want to try two ways. So if I let the arm come forward slightly and I squeeze the ball, I can feel the tension predominantly on the front of the chest. So it's my pectoral muscles that are doing the majority of the work. If I try and draw the arm back slightly and squeeze into the ball, the tension goes predominantly at the back of the shoulder. I want to keep it there. So I'm going to try and keep the arm slightly drawn back, and then I'm going to squeeze down into the ball, and then I'm going to release. I'm going to squeeze down into the cushion and then release. So see if I can picture that muscle. So it attaches to the back of the arm at the top here, and then comes down. It's like a sail that comes down the back towards the middle of the back. See if I can picture that muscle contracting to draw my shoulder and the arm down and in at the same time. So the shoulder is not shrugging, it's not coming up to my head, it's been pulled down as the arm squeezes into the ball. On the next one, I'm going to squeeze and hold that tension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to release. I'm going to try again. Squeeze and hold the tension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. One more time. Squeeze and hold the tension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And release. Giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll. Relaxing the arm. I'm going to do the same thing to the left side. So I'm going to put the ball between the side of the rib cage and the arm. And then same as I did on the other side. If I bring the arm forward slightly and tense, it goes on my chest. If I take it back and squeeze, I can feel it at the back. So I'm going to keep it back. And then I'm going to press into the ball. Feeling the shoulder dropping away from the head, picturing that muscle, again, contracting to pull down. 3, 4, 5, 6. On the next one, I'm going to squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Last time. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing through the arms. And then I'm going to try and see if I can focus a little bit more tension into the core, into the belly. So if you're lying down, I'm going to lift one leg up, just trying to bring it up into tabletop, so the knee above the hip, the shins level to the mat. And then if I feel comfortable enough to support the other, I'm going to pick up the other leg too. Making sure that I can feel the weight of the leg in the hip and in the belly, not in the back. I'm going to hold that position, reach the hands to the back of the head. I'm going to lift the head and the shoulders, and then I'm going to hold it up here. If I'm seated, think of pulling yourself as tall as possible over the seat bends. I'm going to lengthen and lift myself up as high as I can. Feel the core sector tightening to hold you and support you there. And then maintaining that lift and focus on your pelvic floor. So think of the front passage. See if you can draw it up and away from the chair and maintain that lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to release everything down. I'm going to try again. So if I'm seated, I want to lift tall, pull up from the pelvic floor, maintain that stronger connection through the center, make yourself as tall as possible. If you're lying, one or both legs up, head and shoulders off the mat if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Releasing all the way back. 2 more times. So lifting tall, put the corset on tight, pull up from the pelvic floor. 1 or both legs lifted, head and shoulders if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Releasing back. Last time, as tall as you can if you're seated on the chair. Put the corset on tight, lifting up from the front passage. If you're lying down, 1 leg or both legs, the head and the shoulders pulling away from the mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release it down. Extending the legs away, extending the arms away if you're down on the mat, stretching down the front, stretching down the side of the body. If you're seated, allowing yourself to relax on the chair. And then finding your comfortable seated position, I want you to return to the breath. So see if you can notice again where the breath is. If it's up here again, I'm going to try and calm it down and then bring it down into the rib cage, into the belly. I'm going to allow the arms to relax by the side. I want you to think of 2 seconds inhalation. So I'm going to breathe in for 2. I'm going to hold for 2. And then I'm going to breathe out for 6. So I'm going to inhale for 2. Hold for 2. And then out for 6. In for 2, hold for 2, out for 6. So see if you can make the exhale longer. So I'm going to do the inhale and a little retention, and then I'm just going to exhale for as long as I can. So see if I can again help myself to calm down the system. I'm going to try one more time. In for 2, hold for 2, and then out for 6. Then going back to your natural breath to see if you can still keep it calm, keep it relaxed. If you're laying down, I want you to slowly roll over onto your side and in your own time, push yourself up into sitting. Finding a comfortable position, leaning against the wall, against the sofa, just making sure that it's not going to slide away. Finding the seat bones and then see if you can prop yourself right up on top of the seat bones. Sitting as tall as you can. Same as we did at the beginning, think of that space between the breastbone and the pubic bone. Instead of compressing the belly and squashing the diaphragm, see if I can give myself a little bit more space to allow the breath to happen with more ease. And then when you're ready, I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to start pushing the chest forward and up. I'm going to draw the shoulders back and drop them down. I'm going to look up. I'm going to try and look back as far as I can. And then I'm going to release and come forward, letting the chin drop down to the chest. The shoulders come forward. I'm going to come forward into a little flexion. And then I'm going to lift, and then come up into extension, drawing the shoulders back and down, feeling the chest lifting, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing, letting the chin drop, shoulders come forward. I'm going to relax as far down as I feel comfortable. Last time, extending up, creating as much space at the front as you can. Feel the chest lifting, the shoulders dropping down behind you, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing, coming forward. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow, give yourself a comfort down. Any question or anything as usual?